Well, today I'm making a follow-up video about the air conditioner work I'm doing on my '78 Corvette, and ran into a few problems. I had fully intended on making several videos to show my progress, but I ran into so many problems and it took so much time to get everything to fit and to work and to replace parts that didn't fit. And I'm going to go over some of that, and then I'm going to show you the car and how the AC system worked out. Here's the old compressor. I think I showed you that before, and I replaced it with a Compressor Works, which I've had good luck with those before, and this one here seems to be working really great. And then the old hose and the old liquid line. There's the service block and what they call a rear liquid line, I think it was, and then the forward liquid line. I talked about in my other video how some of the fittings was stripped out, so I went ahead and had to replace the entire system, everything new. The old cyclic switch. Okay, over here are some of the parts that I've replaced. I think I went over all these before. This is the old parts in here. Old pressure switch, the old connector, Orifice Tube. I used the new Orifice Tube. This is one I had here. And then I had some leftover O-rings out of the kit. And then this is my retrofit valve service ports that I never used, and I'll show you why. Those would not allow me to get my gauges hooked up, so I had to use something different from Napa. So it's really been a tough project, and like I said, I really intended on making videos along, but I just couldn't do it. It was just so much to do and so many things to work on. So let me show you one curiosity though. I think maybe part of the problem, this is the 1978 owner's manual for my car, and then if you notice, there's two engines that are available with that car. It's the L48 and the L82, and then the VIN code is L and 4 for the L82. And as you know, some of my parts came from Advanced Auto Parts and AutoZone. The hose assembly that came from Advanced Auto Parts, you can see that in my last video, it did not fit. So I had to take it back, get my money back, and then get it from, I actually got my hose assembly from Davies Corvette, which fit perfect. And if you notice, when you go to Advanced Auto Parts and you start to order parts from them, they show two engine codes, an L and an H. AutoZone is the same way, and the correct codes for that year is L and 4. And I don't know that led to my problems with the fitment of the hose or what, but that's just something to remember. It hasn't been a problem yet, because like if you're buying a part for the engine, it's a small block Chevy, and a lot of times all the parts will fit. I mean, windshield wipers are probably the same, but for the AC system, it's definitely, I had a problem with that. So let's go out and take a look at the car, and I can show you all the components that I put on. I'm not totally finished with it yet, and I still haven't put the hood back on it. There's the new compressor, the new hose assembly, which I was much happier with this hose assembly. It's a much higher quality hose than what I was getting at Advanced Auto. And I need to reassemble my vacuum reservoir, which goes under this area here. I just had to move that out of the way so I could get all of my components on, the accumulator and all the tubes and everything connected. I'm going to tell you, this was a big job, and it was really hard to work on the AC part of this car. As far as the service ports, I had to go to Napa and get these angled ones. That's the high side, and then the low side back here on the back of the compressor. You can see they're angled. If anybody needs the part number to those, I can certainly give it to you. But you need those so you can actually get your gauge adapters on there, because it's just so tight. There's no way otherwise that you can actually access those ports with your gauge set. Okay, and then we're going to come out front here. You can see the high side compressor line there. I wrapped it in some split loom to protect it where it goes through between the body and the radiator. Up front here, I'm going to try to turn on a light so you can see it a little better. I don't know if that helps or not, but you can see the new condenser core, which fit perfect along with the brackets. Those fit very nice as well. One problem I had was where the liquid line there goes into the condenser, it being the correct condenser and everything, I believe, but the angle where it exited the condenser was slightly different. So I had to end up taking a tubing bender and tweak that hard line there a little bit to actually get it to fit up properly. And this is the hose that comes from the compressor. It came on, it didn't give me any problems. You do have to make a tight turn there. I also wrapped it in split loom where it goes through the radiator there to kind of protect it. If you look along here, you'll see my wiring. I'm going to have to redo that a little bit. You can see the new liquid line running along there. It goes up to the service port. And you see that angle high pressure adapter again there. Things get a little tight in this area here. This is the high pressure switch, or I'm sorry, the low pressure switch actually, and the new connector that I put on. Everything's really tight in there, really a booger to work on it. And if you look real close, I'm turning the camera around a little too much, but if you look real close down there, you can see the accumulator. And I'm going to tell you, that was a job putting that thing in there and getting all the hoses and everything connected. Now I found out there's one of the things that will help you with that is there's a panel down below, right below here. I don't know if I can show you. Right in this area here. It takes 4 screws to take it off. You'll have to remove this trim piece. 4 screws, and there's a plate that you can pull out of there. And if you can get your car jacked up high enough, you can access some of it through there. And I use that to get my accumulator in there, that area, to get my accumulator in there and get the tubing connected to it and get it tightened up. So I'm sorry I didn't make more videos about this. I'd love to be able to make a video, you know, showing start to finish everything that I'm doing, but it's really not possible for me to do that. I'm just not that good with the camera and all that. But I'm going to tell you, the system worked out really nice. It cools great. Of course, it hasn't been real hot outside, but compressor is quiet, and the AC is working really great on it. Put a lot of time and effort into it, and my only suggestion would be is to just take your time, one day at a time, and chip away at it just a little bit at a time, and you'll get it. You just cannot get in a hurry with something like this. It's just too big of a job. Things are too tight. You can hardly get your hands in to work on it. I actually had to remove the reservoir here, or the vacuum servo for the headlights, so that I could get my tubing in there, because it's already bent up. But it is possible to get that through where the radiator, between the radiator there and the frame. You just have to take that servo and just move it a little bit so you can actually thread it through and get it into position. But there's just variations in these parts and things, and when you start to hook everything up, you'll find that you have to tweak some of the hard tubing here and there to get it to actually fit. Like I said, it was a job. It was a challenge. Now maybe I can get a little better shot here. Now you can look back in there and you can see the liquid line where it comes in, right where you see that joint with the nut there. I'm going to try to zoom in. Okay, right below that is where the Orifice Tube is, the fixed orifice. And then below that, hose clamp to the tube that goes to the evaporator is the cyclic switch. It's temperature activated. It's a capillary tube that you tighten down the clamp there, and then I cover it with a black dum-dum, I call it, or just, you know, some kind of goo just to insulate it, and so it'll sense the temperature properly and cycle the clutch on and off to prevent evaporator freeze up. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope it helps. You can kind of get a look at how my tubing ran there. All that had to be tweaked just a little bit. It comes bent up. And as far as the reservoir there for the radiator, the overflow tank, it is a booger getting that thing in there. I had to actually remove the hose assembly off the back of the compressor to get that in there. And you can see how tight it is. See, it's practically touching that liquid line there. But so many years later, you know, all the parts, you know, they vary a little bit. The bends are not exactly in the right place. So like I said, my advice to you is, if you undertake a project like this, take your time, don't get in a hurry, and shop around for your parts. Try to get good prices on your parts if you can, but when it comes down to it, if you have to spend the money to get something quality, you just have to, because it's the only thing that's going to fit. Okay, thank you for watching.